Hey everybody, it's Alexis from Dressed to Sustain. Welcome back, or if this is your first time here, thanks so much for showing up. Today I'm going to be sharing some of my favorite tips for finding great, long-lasting, and high-quality pieces at your favorite secondhand stores. As many of you know, secondhand shopping is an awesome way to find great quality pieces to incorporate into your wardrobe and save a little money while you're at it. When buying thrifted pieces, it's easy to go in with the mindset of this is so much cheaper, so I can buy products that I may not use a lot or that may not last me that long. But instead, what your mentality should be going in is the same exact mindset as you would go in to buy something new. It's super important to prioritize quality, brands, longevity, even when you're looking at thrift stores. This way you can find pieces that you truly enjoy wearing, that are stylish and maybe even trendy, but will last you more than a few years. And using this approach, you can also make sure that if you do decide to part with the piece and sell it, you can get a great resale value as well. If you've ever spent a great deal of time scouring through the racks of a vintage store, you may have noticed that back in the day, most pieces were made from a single natural fiber, be it cotton, silk, or linen. Items were made from that single fiber because it was difficult to get other resources from other countries. For example, a lot of silk products came from Asia, but a lot of cotton came from the US, and it was difficult to get all the resources together. So rather than trying to create a blend of fabrics, manufacturers would just use a single fabric to create a single product. But as fashion started to evolve and we started to think more about how we could tailor particular garments to our bodies or add stretch, manufacturers started to play around with plastics. For example, you'll notice that if you buy a new pair of jeans, they'll likely have some blend of spandex and cotton in them. This is to create some contouring to the body and help to create something a little bit more fitted rather than loose and more boyfriend jean style. Similarly, a lot of wool products also have some type of plastic in them, for example a nylon, that helps to thin the wool so the texture is not as bulky. While the exploration of plastic knits was great for the evolution of fashion and exploring different styles, it wasn't great for the actual integrity of the garments. Hey everyone, I just wanted to pop in here because I think it's an important point to make that in addition to synthetic fibers being sort of an innovation in fashion, they also were a way to cut costs. So now companies can say, I have this cashmere sweater, but the caveat is that now the cashmere sweater that might have in the day been 100% cashmere is now about 70% cashmere or 60% cashmere and then 40 to 30% something else entirely, like some type of synthetic. So a polyester or nylon, something that's cheap that they can use to supplement cashmere and then cut that cost out of the equation. Mixing different types of natural fibers and artificial fibers actually creates problems for the structure of the garment. So you'll notice more pilling, you'll notice more wear and tear, and unfortunately those plastic materials also leach every time you wash them and contribute to microplastics in our oceans and waterways. And that brings me to my first tip, which is to look for either 100% natural fabrics or very close to it. Natural fibers you can look for are cotton, cashmere, silk, linen, wool. These are all great fabrics to wear. Natural fibers are a lot more breathable than synthetic fibers like a nylon or a spandex. Another great reason why you should buy 100% natural fabrics used versus new is because although those fabrics don't leach chemicals and long term they look better and wear better, they unfortunately do use a considerable amount of water to create. For example, these Levi's jeans that I found used on Poshmark used about 1,800 gallons to manufacture. While I love these jeans and I know that they'll last me, I do make a huge effort to find natural pieces used because not only will it save me money, it also means that I'm not funneling my dollars back into companies that are producing new items every single day that already exist in the used market. I'm not somebody who personally shops by brand, but I do notice that when I am thrifting or looking online at Poshmark, for example, I do pay a lot more attention to brands. I think that this is partially because it helps me to assess the price. So if I know that I am buying from a higher quality brand that sells a lot of their products for like $200 and I'm spending $40 to $50 on the item used in good condition, I know that that's a fair price. There are a lot of high quality brands out on the secondhand market. For example, sustainable brands like Mate the Label or Eileen Fisher or Reformation. And you can also find a lot of designer brands, especially on some of the apps that are available now, like The RealReal or even Poshmark. I love secondhand shopping for finding sustainable brands because it's not only making the product even more sustainable than it was when it was first manufactured, but it's also a great way to save money because those items can be so expensive. Similarly, for designer goods, I may not agree with a company like Prada or Gucci's ethical standards, and they may not be committed to sustainability in the way that I want them to be. So buying it secondhand means that I'm getting all the quality and luxury of that product without funneling money back into the company. A great example of a sustainable brand that I found used are these Eileen Fisher pants. I found these on Poshmark a few years ago. They're an all linen pant. They're perfect for, these months in between spring and summer when it's warm, but it's not super hot. I know I wouldn't have paid, $200 for them new, but because I found them used and within my price range, I'm able to make a product that was designed to be more low impact, even more sustainable by giving it additional wear and finding it pre-loved. Another example of a brand that I found used is this Everlane top. In all honesty, I love Everlane style. I find them timeless and can pretty much visualize myself into anything that they create. That said, not only do they not have a great ethical score on an app that I use to judge brands' relative sustainability efforts, the app is called Good On You. You can check them out and see that Everlane actually doesn't perform that well, meaning that they aren't paying as much attention as they could or as they claim to sourcing their products and the labor that goes into them. Then more recently, since quarantine started, they also had an issue with union busting. So all in all, I'm not willing to support Everlane right now or into the near future unless they really do a full 360 and change their ways. I found this top on Poshmark. It's in awesome condition. It fits great. I found my perfect size and I saved the amount of money that I would have paid for buying it new. And I didn't put money into a company that I know doesn't align with my morals or ethical standards. So my next tip for buying secondhand is focused on wear. Obviously, if you're buying used, unless it's something new with tags, you are going to encounter some signs of use, whether it's a little bit of wear in the seams of a pair of jeans or some stretching in the waist. But with all these signs of wear, something to keep in the back of your mind is making sure that you're getting your money's worth. You have to make sure that the cost that you are paying is going to make it worthwhile to pay a tailor to fix any seams or to go to a cobbler. You don't want to be putting so much more money into the garment than what you're getting out of it. Some signs of wear that are usually pretty easy to fix can be, for example, a hole. You can either hand stitch or have it brought to a tailor. Additionally, you can use different types of patching techniques, which can be great for creating a really unique look. Loose or ripped seams are pretty easy to fix. Again, you can bring it to a tailor, or you can try to fix it yourself. And also, if you find a great pair of shoes used, particularly ones that are 100% leather or natural materials, you're able to bring those to a cobbler and either have them resoled, or you can even have the exterior sort of buffed up and perfected. Two things I would stay away from that I don't think they can be fixed as easily are pilling and stains. So pilling can tell you that the quality of the fabric is pretty poor. Typically, a lot of plastic derived fabrics like a nylon will tend to pill a lot, especially, as I said earlier in the video, if they're mixed with a natural fiber. And the second sign of wear I'd stay away from are stains. If you think it's just a deodorant stain, like under the arm of a shirt, that's really easy to get out. Also, if it's a white shirt and you think that you can bleach out the stain, then I would consider getting it. But otherwise, stains can be near impossible to get out and they can really ruin the look of a garment. A great example of an item that I found used and pretty worn is this silk top. You can tell just by the coloring of it and the way that it's worn in that it has seen a lot of action in its days. I like that it has straps but a higher neck, and I also like that it's double lined inside so it's not totally see-through. I also considered when buying this shirt that even if I decided that the shirt was too worn down the road, that I could use the 100% silk for hair ties or something else. Wash has a lot of impact on what items look like when you find them in a thrift store or secondhand. If you notice that a fabric looks dull, it's probably because it's been overwashed, and you may not want to consider buying it because you're just not getting the whole value out of it. And another aspect of care to consider is if you are buying a piece that needs to be hand washed or needs to be dry cleaned, that may not be a good decision for you. Firstly, hand cleaning is even more tedious than putting stuff in the laundry. I personally hate hand washing. I will not do it. I will do everything to avoid it. And dry cleaning, as many of us know, is not good for the environment. Unless you have an eco-friendly dry cleaner near you, it's probably using a lot of toxic chemicals that aren't good for the people that work there, and they're not good for the environment. So when you buy secondhand, always look at, first of all, the materials, as we discussed earlier, but secondly, the care instructions. Because if you're not going to be able to dedicate the money or time to properly caring for an item, you probably shouldn't get it in the first place. A great example of a piece that I bought used, even though I knew that it might be more time consuming to take care of, was this wool sweater. It is 100% wool, natural fibers. I love the print. I just fell in love with it when I saw it. And when I noticed that it was dry clean only, I knew that that was never gonna happen, and so I thought about different ways that I could care for it. To maintain this sweater, what I've done is I will occasionally wash it in the machine. I'll put it in a garment bag and set the machine to cold water so it won't shrink the wool. And what I do more commonly is I'll put the sweater out on a clothes hanger and I will leave it out in my room to be in the fresh air and just sort of eliminate any possibility of it smelling bad. And that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed and that you can take some of these tips and use them to find some great staples for your own wardrobe. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you next time.